So yesterday I primarily worked on making two skirts for the Emerald City scene, for the ensemble in that scene, for just the people who live there, who will all be dressed up in different shades of green. So these two skirts were made from a velvety fabric, and now this material was quite stretchy and it rolled a lot and would warp, which made it very difficult to work with, particularly in smaller parts. So, for example, with the waistband, which was probably the trickiest part of the whole skirt, folding it over and ironing it flat to be consistent was very difficult. So I had to use a lot of ironing to try and hold it in place, but this took a long time, so I had to really try and come up with ways to combat it rolling it so much so I could try and save time. So I would fold it over, pin it, and then iron it, and then iron it, and then pin it, and then iron it again, and then continue. And I found it easier if I did one chunk and then further down to another one, iron the middle, and then pin the part in between those 2 points. So I'd pin the larger points at the right measurements, and then I'd go through and I'd do the middle bit, because having it on both sides put out flat like that helped keep the middle from rolling so much. So I think that helped me speed up, but I didn't really figure out that as being the best way to do it. And with the amount of ironing that I had to do, I didn't figure out how for that best to work until the second skirt. So the first one took longer, but for some reason the second skirt was rolling more, perhaps because I needed to refill the water in the iron, so there wasn't enough steam to start with, but it was harder than the first one. And I did have some trouble initially working out which sides went together for the two panels, because I had two panels sewn together, and then I folded down the top to create the waistband, and I folded up the bottom to create the hem. For the hem, to try and speed things up, so I wasn't doing what I was doing with the waistband, which was like really slowly turning everything over and ironing it. I tried overlocking the edge and folding that up and just sewing it, and I found that worked pretty well. It still took a while and I had to be really careful, and I had to figure out a good technique of sliding it as it was going, so it wouldn't keep on rolling and I wouldn't catch it. I did feel quite a lot of the hem was quite uneven, and I think this was because of just the stretchy and the nature of the material is not very friendly, and it doesn't respond well to being handled or forced into things. So you have to be very gentle with it and really think about what it was trying to do and try and combat that. And once I had finished constructing the main part of the skirts, I then had to put elastic in the middle. In the second skirt, I think I made it a bit too small on the waistband, and I would have liked to have added an extra maybe half an inch just for a bit more ease for getting the elastic through. It was quite a lot of bulk as they were very wide, so there was a lot of bulk trying to get the elastic through, which was quite difficult. So again, that took quite a lot of time, and I just had to go slowly with it and make sure I wasn't twisting the elastic as I was going, as that would be not only uncomfortable for the actor, but it also make the skirt look funny or weird and not as good as it would be supposed to. And once I'd finished that, I worked on making a small sash for the mayor of Munchkinland. Just to make them seem, the purpose of this is to make them seem more like official and give more of that kind of look. Just to try and give as many visual cues as possible as that they are a mayor. And so to do this, I sewed up one side and then bagged it out, and then sew both of the ends in a at an angle to give it that pointy end of the sash. And then in the morning today, I started looking at sewing bands onto the hats, and the point of this is just to add like smaller details to try and tie everything in together, so having blue on the yellow hats and yellow on the blue hats to make it all feel more cohesive, and just to really get the look right. It was quite difficult because it's a really funny angle and like the brim of the hat gets in the way, so I had to again take my time and make sure I was sewing it nice and neatly, because I had to hand sew it and making sure that my stitches were as even as they could be.